안녕하세요. Shalom. Привет. Hola. Hola. Bonjour. Hello. Ni hao. Xin chào. Hello. Hey. La Paz. Hey. Marhaban. Hallo. Kamusta. Yaso. Merhaba. Dzięki. Namaste. Hello. And привет. Welcome to today's video, which, as you probably know from the thumbnail, is going to be 100 question pub quiz solely about World War II. So if you want to learn something new, something interesting, this is definitely a video for you. You can close your eyes. I will actually take them out. You don't need them. If you want to look at my hopefully beautiful face, you can, but otherwise you don't need them. So I will take them out. I will may or may not give them back. If you are going to sleep, you don't need them, so you will have them on your night table. Okay, so one, two. You don't need the eyes anymore. I have them. You can see, but I have them in my hands. And let's move to the good old Kindle, where I have all the questions. So it's not ABCD, it's just straight up questions. But you will see. So let's start. Question number 1. What was the code name for the Allied invasion of Normandy on June 6th, 1944? So what was the code name for the Allied invasion of Normandy on June 6th, 1944? I'll give you a few seconds. And it was Operation Overlord. Operation Overlord. So the Allied invasion of Normandy was Operation Overlord. Let's move to the second question. Which battle fought from August 1942 to February 1943 marked a turning point on the Eastern Front with a decisive Soviet victory? So which battle fought from August 1942 to February 1943? So a long time. It's how many? 8 months. Marked a turning point on the Eastern Front with a decisive Soviet victory. 6 months. Yeah, 6 months. So what battle was that? You know that. Everybody here is World War II. I wouldn't say fan, but enthusiast. Tipping fedora for the fellow enthusiasts. And it was, of course, the Battle of Stalingrad. Big battle. If you ever watched some documentaries, I recommend it. Next one. Question 3. Who was the British Prime Minister at the start of World War II who declared war on Germany one is maybe tricky for people that this is for those who don't know. It might be tricky, but other people know. People in the know. So, who was the British Prime Minister at the start of World War II who declared war on Germany in 1939? And it was Neville Chamberlain. Because, yeah, I will not give you spoilers for next questions, but yeah, Neville Chamberlain waving, I secured the peace. Yeah, didn't work out. So, question number 4. At which conference in 1945 did Roosevelt, Churchill, and Stalin meet to discuss the post-war reorganization of Europe? So, at which conference in 1945 did Roosevelt, Churchill, and Stalin meet to discuss the post-war reorganization of Europe? And it was, of course, the famous, there is that picture from that, the famous Yalta conference. The Yalta conference. Question number 5. What was the primary objective of the Manhattan Project during World War II? So what was the primary objective of the Manhattan Project of the World War II? One of the biggest projects of the humankind, I would argue. Like incredible to keep that in secret. It mostly was kept in secret. So, what was the primary objective of the Manhattan Project during the World War II? And it was, of course, to develop the atomic bomb, and it succeeded. Succeeded because it was in USA. Of course, Oppenheimer. If you saw the movie, I did not yet, but I really would love to. And it was like a huge project and investment, like incredible. Question number 6. What term describes the German military tactic of rapid, overwhelming attacks used during World War II? What term describes the German military tactic of rapid, overwhelming attacks used during World War II? You know that it's, of course, it was developed in World War I, actually, with the invention of a tank, and it's called Blitzkrieg. Basically, you point everything, every machinery that you have. They did not really have that many tanks in World War II, like at the start, but you point every machinery into one point, you overwhelm the defense, and you push behind the enemy lines, and as soon everybody who plays like Victoria or Hoi4 or anything, Kingdom Come, any war simulator, and or you are actually some general, if you cut the supply lines, you win. That's the end. So that was basically the idea, but it works only, for a short time, and then it's actually defense is always like better for you, defending than attacking. Question number 7. Which naval battle 1942 is considered the turning point in the Pacific theater, halting Japanese expansion. And it was the Battle of Midway. Battle of Midway. Again, the Pacific theater, we Europeans don't learn too much about it. I suspect Americans learn much more about this than they learn about Europe. I think it's like a given, because that was their side of war, you know. Really, the end of the war, Americans just came at the end basically to win it. But the Pacific was really like hard, like that was really hard. That was incredible again advancements that came out of it, like military tactics and everything. Like Americans did a great job. Question number 8. Who was the German field marshal known as the Desert Fox for his leadership in North Africa? Who was the German field marshal known as the Desert Fox for his leadership in North Africa? You probably know that Desert Fox, that's really known, and it was Erwin Rommel, one of the greatest field marshals, I think, or even like military commanders. When you look at YouTube on best military commanders, the best usually is someone like Attila or Hannibal or Alexander the Great, Napoleon, and sometimes there is even Erwin Rommel, because incredible, basically from military standpoint, he did some really interesting tactics. And you know, I always hate when people just can't appreciate that even if someone is definitely on the wrong side of history, he can be great military leader, and it should be reflected. I heard about USA, how they had problem with Robert E. Lee statues because he was on the wrong side of the conflict, but still he did some really interesting military tactics, and he's I would say top 100 too. I would say. Okay, I'm off topic. Next one. Which country did Italy invade in 1935, signaling its aggressive expansion before World War II? That's where Hoi4 starts. Which country did Italy invade in 1935, signaling its aggressive expansion before World War II? And it was Ethiopia. Today's Ethiopia. Back in the day, I think it was sometimes called by natives Abyssinia. Basically, Italy wanted. Basically, Mussolini wanted fast win. He of course won, but it was a disaster, I would say. If you go against such bad army that Ethiopia had, of course they had no money and it still it was bad. It was really bad military campaign, and it almost if you watch some documentaries, you will know it was really bad. And Mussolini overall was a really bad commander, and Italian commanders were really bad overall. If you compare them with Japanese or German ones, really bad. Question number 10. What was the name of the Germany's air force during World War II? Germany's Air Force during World War II? And it was, of course, the Luftwaffe. And I think it's still called Luftwaffe. Is there someone from Germany? I think still it's called Luftwaffe, which again I like when countries just keep it the same, just we did bad stuff 100 years ago, we learned, and we keep it the same. I don't like this revisionism, let's say. Yeah, very many hot takes, isn't it? Question 11. What event on December 7, 1941 led directly to the United States entering World War II? So what event on December 7, 1941 led directly to the United States entering the World War II? And it was, of course, again, attack on Pearl Harbor. One of the biggest military blunders in history, but I watched some documentaries, like Japan was really high on their supply back in the time, and they just thought they are the chosen ones, and they can mess with everyone. Germans did too, basically. Italians, I don't know, Italians no, mostly no, it was 50-50. But Japanese really and you can see it in the whole war, this mentality that luckily led to their demise. And now, this is one of the greatest achievements, I think, to make in such a short time. It's not even 100 years, and Japan is now prosperous, great, democratic country. That's incredible for the democracy. As me, the Democrat. Okay, let's go to question 12. What was the name of the British project that successfully broke the German Enigma code? What was the name of the British project that successfully broke the German Enigma code? And it was Project Ultra. Project Ultra, again, incredible feat by incredible mathematician. I think there is a question about him, so I will not say that. Yeah, so let's move on. Project Ultra. Question number 13. I skipped too much. Who led the Free French forces during World War II and later became President of France? Who led the Free French forces during World War II and later became President of France? So who was that? If you remember, if you are French watching, you probably know that. But maybe I think that many people know this. And it was Charles de Gaulle. Charles de Gaulle. A really important figure. And again, he led France as a president after World War II. Now, which 1938 agreement allowed Nazi Germany to annex the Sudetenland from Czechoslovakia? Which 1938 agreement allowed Nazi Germany to annex the Sudetenland from Czechoslovakia? And it was the Munich Agreement. Basically four. It was Neville Chamberlain, Mussolini, Benito Mussolini, Adolf Hitler, and Latelier of France, the president of France at the time. Basically, in Czechoslovakia, we have, I'm from Czechia, we have that basically around the border there used to live a lot of Germans, and they just wanted to come back to Germany, so they forcibly took it. Yeah. They thought it will stop the war. It did not, and basically the rest of Czechoslovakia was annexed. Few months after. It was months, yeah. So, question number 15. What was the last major German offensive on the Western Front launched in December 1944? What was the last major German offensive on the Western Front launched in December 1944? And it was the Battle of the Bulge. The Battle of the Bulge. Again, interesting, bad military tactic. Like it was over. It was at the time just there was no way back. But Battle of the Bulge, there is that famous movie about Hitler in bunker. How he says. Always like many memes are out of it, so that's Battle of the Bulge, and they of course lost. Question number 16. During the Battle of Britain, which city was heavily bombed by the German Luftwaffe? During the Battle of Britain, which city was heavily bombed by the German Luftwaffe? And it was of course the capital city of Britain. Kingdom, what's it called? The Great Britain. The British Empire it was called at the time. London was bombed the most. You can hear, and basically if you have some grandparents that lived during the World War II, they were kids. Like you were not able to light anything, have light on at night, because they just knew, yeah, there is a home, we can bomb it. And they spent a lot of time in metros and other bunkers. There wasn't really that many like bunkers. It was usually just metro stations and stuff like that. Some people had bunkers, of course, and some like cities and municipalities. Okay, question number 17. What was the US military strategy called that involved capturing specific Pacific islands leading up to Japan? So, what was the US military strategy called that involved capturing specific Pacific islands leading up to Japan? And that's the thing I talked about before, about the Pacific Front, or Pacific Theater they call it sometimes. And it was island hopping, and that was like really like brutal battles about tiny islands. It was basically naval to land warfare all the time about small islands, like terrible. They used to have those big landing vessels where you just can go with a tank out of the water and stuff like that. It was this because Americans developed that. British didn't have that. It helped with the battles in Europe too, like the Normandy. It helped a lot. Question 18. Which Soviet general led the defense of Stalingrad and later commanded the final assault on Berlin. Which Soviet general led the defense of Stalingrad and later commanded the final assault on Berlin? And it was Georgy Zhukov, General Zhukov. Many many medals from everything. Again, one of the greatest military leaders too. Question number 19. Which two Japanese cities were destroyed by atomic bombs in August 1945? So, which two Japanese cities were destroyed by atomic bombs in August 1945? And it was Hiroshima and Nagasaki. Hiroshima, Nagasaki. Today you can come there and there is like nice memorial and stuff like that. Yeah, atomic bombs, Project Manhattan. Question number 20. What was the code name for the German invasion of the Soviet Union in 1941? So what was the code name for the German invasion of the Soviet Union in 1941? And it was Operation Barbarossa. Yeah, Operation Barbarossa. Barbarossa, yeah. Again, massive blunder. That's if you play chess, this is like sacrificing the queen and thinking you will win. This was like first it was steamroll one side and then when it was steamroll the other side. Like insane blunder. Question number 21. And before I say the question, if you like this video, please comment something. Comment what's the most interesting fact about World War II that you personally know, that maybe I don't know. And like the video, subscribe. And if you liked my content really much, you can become a member. There are 2 tiers. You get videos early and it helps me to create more content. So I really appreciate that. So back to the question number 21. Which country's invasion on September 1st, 1939 triggered the start of World War II? Which country's invasion on September 1st, 1939 triggered the start of World War II? And it was of course invasion of Poland. It was invasion of Poland. Yeah. Germans with tanks, Polish with winged hussars, basically. Still, yeah, that was terrible. If you hear that radio call, that's one of the famous. Yeah, terrible. Question number 22. What was the name of the British operation to evacuate Allied soldiers from the beaches of Dunkirk in 1940? What was the name of the British operation to evacuate Allied soldiers from the beaches of Dunkirk in 1940? Again, pretty known incident. And it was Operation Dynamo or Dynamo. Operation Dynamo. last effort to at least save people. Like, great rescue operation. Number 23. Who was the Emperor of Japan during World War II? Who was the Emperor of Japan during the World War II? And it was Emperor Hirohito. Emperor Hirohito. Yes. And he was still emperor after World War II because US used him as calming force. And again, you can see Japan managed to. Many people like wanted different way for him, but it was good decision. One of the few good decisions of US about foreign policy. Question number 24. Which international organization was formed after World War II to prevent future global conflicts? So, which international organization was formed after World War II to prevent future global conflicts? And still exists. And it was the United Nations. The United Nations. Yeah, United Nations. Question number 25. What was the name of the infamous Nazi concentration and extermination camp located in Poland? What was the name of the infamous Nazi concentration and extermination camp located in Poland? What was that? It was, of course, Auschwitz-Birkenau. Auschwitz, yeah. It's pronounced like that. Auschwitz. Well, in Czech we call it a little bit differently, but Auschwitz, yeah, Auschwitz-Birkenau, I think it's in English. Auschwitz. Again, terrible stuff. 6 million Jews perished from mostly Poland, Czechoslovakia, Germany, of course, Hungary, Austria. Terrible. Question number 26. Which German city was heavily bombed in February 1945, resulting in a massive firestorm? Which German city was heavily bombed in February 1945, resulting in a massive firestorm? Again, next, like, big incident. Sometimes people try to bring it up to life today, like in American Parliament and stuff like that. It was Dresden. That we also you know Americans. So it was Dresden, Allied bombings of Germany. Which, if you bomb someone, you probably bomb him back. Question number 27. Who became the British Prime Minister in 1940 and is famous for his leadership during World War II? Who became the British Prime Minister in 1940 and is famous for his leadership during the World War II? And it was Winston Churchill. Big force in actually winning the war because he really gave people the confidence. Great orator. Many people again try to shite on him these days, but after the war, everybody is still general. I don't know if Americans say that, but in Czechia we say that after the war, everybody is general. That's true. So question number 28. What was the main fighter aircraft used by the British Royal Air Force during the Battle of Britain? What was the main fighter aircraft used by the British Royal Air Force during the Battle of Britain? And it was the Supermarine Spitfire. Yes, the Spitfire, the Supermarine Spitfire. Many Czechs were in a British Air Force. We always like to do a little Remembrance Day. Even from my town, they were great heroes. Okay, let's move to the next one. Question number 29. Which operation was the Allied invasion of Italy in September 1943? Which operation was the Allied invasion of Italy in September 1943? And it was Operation Avalanche. Operation Avalanche. Not very well known, but again, incredible stuff. You can see it was in 1943. Italy is really hard to conquer. Italy is even though it's that's good because you are an island basically, and on top of our Alps. It's so hard. That's why Hannibal crossing the Alps, it was incredible. Italy is a fortress. It's incredible feat. Question number 30. Who was the US president at the end of World War II who authorized the use of atomic bombs on Japan? So who was the US president at the end of World War II who authorized the use of atomic bombs on Japan? And it was Harry S. Truman. Harry S. Truman, who authorized the use of atomic bombs on Japan. Question number 31. What was the German plan to invade the United Kingdom called, which was never carried out? What was the German plan to invade the United Kingdom called, which was never carried out? And it was Operation Sea Lion. Operation Sea Lion. Yeah, you don't mess with Royal Navy. And that, of course, was never carried out because Germans never had the naval power to actually do it. Again, Britain, great strategic position, really close to mainland Europe. Anybody from there can go. That's in history. You can see how the nations adapted. They need those ships, and the Royal Navy at the time was, and still is, one of the best. Of course, Americans and Chinese probably do. Chinese are really building the Navy right now. But still, I think Royal Navy is still one of the greatest, not maybe to equipment, but to strategy and knowledge, I think. And Americans, that's the beauty of modern Western community, that we can share the information, if something ever happened, but hopefully nothing will happen, Last time I checked the news, they told us to build nuclear bunkers. So, okay, let's move on. Question 32. Which country switched sides in 1943, joining the Allies after the fall of Mussolini's regime. That's easy, of course. Which country switched sides in 1943, joining the Allies after the fall of Mussolini's regime, and it was Italy. As I said, Italy was like split. They didn't want the war. Really, Mussolini wanted the war. It was different with Japan and Germany. Question 33. What was the name of the largest tank battle in history fought between Germany and the Soviet Union in 1943? What was the name of the largest tank battle in history fought between Germany and the Soviet Union in 1943? And it was the Battle of Kursk. Battle of Kursk. Big battle. The tank printers in Soviet Union. If you ever have time, look at, I think it's Mark Felton Productions. He made about T-34s. Incredible, like engineer, the Soviet, like the Slavic engineering, and I know that because I'm Slav myself, how we try to make everything like cheap but functioning, like Germans. That's I will say just one thing, like Germans on Tigers, I think it was, but yeah, I think those were Tigers. They did everything like precisely, like bolts, everything. They needed to be precise, extra, like so it fits, and the bolts that like hold the wheels. It's not wheels. It's like belts, and Soviets just added one slope, so the belt or the bolt always like just was falling out. But after the belt went for one full rotation, it basically pushed him back. It pushed him back. So every time it did the rotation, it pushed him back because they did not know how to weld it that well. But well, it worked. And if it fall out, just came, had a piece of I don't know, screwdriver or something, and stick it out, and it worked. Like, incredible. Like that's Slavic engineering. Question 34. Who was the commander of the US Pacific Fleet during World War II? Who was the commander of the US Pacific Fleet during World War II? And it was Admiral Chester V. Nimitz. Admiral Chester W. Nimitz. Yeah. Question 35. Which meeting in 1943 brought together Roosevelt, Churchill and Stalin to plan the final strategy against Nazi Germany? Which meeting in 1943 brought together Roosevelt, Churchill and Stalin to plan the final strategy against Nazi Germany? And that was the Tehran Conference. Tehran Conference. Question number 36. What was the name of the German cipher machine used for encrypted communication? We already had that one. What was the name of the German cipher machine used for encrypted communication? And it was Enigma. Yes, Enigma. Again, incredible. If you want to learn how it works, I think Numberphile or somebody, I think they have how it works. Like that is great visualization on YouTube. Number 37. Which British general played a significant role in defeating Rommel's forces in North Africa? Which British general played a significant role in defeating Rommel's forces in North Africa? And it was Bernard Montgomery. Bernard Montgomery. What was the primary German tank used during World War II, known for its versatility? What was the primary German tank used during World War II, known for its versatility? It was the Panzer IV, Panzer IV, yeah. I think somebody in Czechia, no, it was the 34, had it in like basement, hidden, and we had like amnesty. We sometimes have like weapon amnesty when people have the old weapons they can't have. We have really good weapon law in Czechia. Basically like America, we can get many things, but you need to have like license, you have to be checked by doctor and stuff like that, so not the Wild West, but you can have many things. And somebody had a tank, and I think somebody had a cannon, like artillery cannon. Okay, which, number 39, which US general led the Third Army in Europe and was known for his rapid armored advances? Yeah, combined arms. Which US general led the Third Army in Europe and was known for his rapid armored advances? And it was General George S. Patton. General George S. Patton. Again, that's he's always in top 102. Question 40. What was the name of the agreement between Germany and the Soviet Union in 1949 that included a secret protocol to divide Eastern Europe? What was the name of the agreement between Germany and the Soviet Union in 1939 that included a secret protocol to divide Eastern Europe? And it was the Molotov-Ribbentrop Pact, Nazi-Soviet Non-Aggression Pact, otherwise called the Molotov-Ribbentrop Pact. That's why when World War II started, Soviets entered Poland too, from the other side. That's why the Operation Barbarossa was absolutely like mental. That's not like mental, absolutely mental. When you have a non-aggression pact and you shoot yourself in the head, basically. But we are lucky that bad people made mistakes. Question number 41. Which battle marked the first major defeat of Japan's naval forces by the United States in 1942? Which battle marked the first major defeat of Japan's naval forces by the United States in 1942? And it was the Battle of Coral Sea. The Battle of Coral Sea. Let's move to the question number 42. What was the code name for the Allied invasion of German-occupied southern France in August 1944? Of the Vichy France. What was the code? No, it wasn't Vichy France, right? German-occupied southern, was it? I think it was. What was the code name for the Allied invasion of German-occupied southern France in August 1944? Yeah, Operation Dragoon. That's Operation Dragoon. That's the Vichy France from basically around Spain. Yeah, that's the one. Question number 43. Who was the leader of the Nazi Party and dictator of Germany during World War II? Who was the leader of the Nazi Party and dictator of Germany during World War II? And it was, of course, Adolf Hitler. Adolf Hitler. Question number 44. Which German city hosted the trials of major Nazi war criminals after World War II? Which German city hosted the trials of major Nazi war criminals after World War II? And the answer is Nuremberg. Nuremberg processes. Nuremberg or Nuremberg. Do Americans say Nuremberg? We say Nuremberg, but Nuremberg maybe it's better. You know what I mean. Question number 45. What was the primary long-range heavy bomber used by the US Army Air Forces in Europe? What was the primary long-range heavy bomber used by the US Army Air Forces in Europe? And it was Boeing B-17 Flying Fortress. Not Boeing, but Boeing B-17 Flying Fortress. I don't know anything about Boeing. I don't have any secret information. I just want to clarify that for the video. Question number 46. Which battle is considered the longest siege in modern history, lasting over 900 days from 1941 to 1944? Which battle is considered the longest siege in modern history, lasting over 900 days from 1941 to 1944? And it's the Siege of Leningrad. Siege of Leningrad. Of course, in modern history, because in history that 3 years is really rookie numbers, because there was sieges for 50 years. You were born during the siege and you died during the siege. You never heard about what's no siege. There was siege all the time from one army. Question number 47. What was the main fighter aircraft used by the US Navy in the Pacific Theater? What was the main fighter aircraft used by the US Navy in the Pacific Theater? And it was the Grumman F-6F Hellcat. They usually just Hellcat. The Grumman F-6F Hellcat. Question 48. Which country did Germany annex in 1938 in an event known as the Anschluss? Which country did Germany annex in 1938 in an event known as the Anschluss? And it was Austria. It was country of Austria. Question number 49. What was the name of the defensive fortifications built by France along its German border before World War II? What was the name of the defensive fortifications built by France along its German border before World War II? And it was the Maginot Line. The Maginot Line. Very known, pretty known. Question 50. Which US military leader accepted Japan's formal surrender aboard the USS Missouri? which US military leader accepted Japan's formal surrender aboard the USS Missouri. And it was General Douglas MacArthur. It was General Douglas MacArthur. Question 51. What was the name of the policy of giving in to Hitler's demands to avoid conflict prior to World War II? So what was the name of the policy of giving in to Hitler's demands to avoid conflict prior to World War II? And it was policy of appeasement. Appeasement, to appease someone. Appeasement. Question 52. Which Mediterranean island was captured by German paratroopers in 1941 during Operation Mercury? Which Mediterranean island was captured by German paratroopers in 1941 during Operation Mercury? And it was Crete. Yeah, I probably say it wrong. Crete. Yeah. Question 53. What was the name of the forced march of American and Filipino prisoners by the Japanese in 1942? What was the name of the forced march of American and Filipino prisoners by the Japanese in 1942? And it was the Bataan Death March. The Bataan Death March. Yeah, Japanese did not really accept the Geneva Convention, like, at all. Like Nanking and stuff like that. We don't have to talk about it now. Question 54. Who was the leader of the Soviet Union during World War II? Who was the leader of the Soviet Union during the World War II? It was Joseph Stalin or Stalin. Joseph Stalin. Of course. Question 55. What was the name of the US program that supplied Allied nations with war material before and during World War II? So what was the name of the US program that supplied Allied nations with war material before and during World War II? And it was Lend-Lease Act. Lend-Lease Act. Question number 56. Which country did Germany invade in April 1940, leading to a 2-month campaign? Which country did Germany invade in April 1940, leading to a 2-month campaign? And it was Norway. It was Norway. Norway. What was the primary anti-aircraft weapon used by Germany, also used effectively against tanks? What was the primary anti-aircraft weapon used by Germany, also used effectively against German tanks? And it was the 88mm flak gun. The 88 millimeter, not milliliter, millimeter flak gun. It was like that. That's benefit of anti-air, that you can point it down and it's anti-tank. But it wasn't that, like, the armor got much better when I think think Soviets invented like sloped armor. They did that, like slope armor. The Germans did like that, and then Soviets did like that, and it's so much more effective because if you have like this, if you have it like this, it goes straight. But if you have it sloped, it needs to go that, but it doesn't want to go there, and wants to go there. So it needs much more energy, much more caliber and everything. Question 58. Which British commando raid in 1942 targeted the French port of Dieppe but resulted in heavy casualties? That's hard. Which British commando raid in 1942 targeted the French port of Dieppe but resulted in heavy casualties, and it was the Dieppe raid. Yeah, Dieppe raid. What was the name, number 59, what was the name of the Japanese surprise attack on British territories in Asia occurring around the same time as Pearl Harbor? What was the name of the Japanese surprise attack on British territories in Asia occurring during the same time as Pearl Harbor? And it was the Malayan campaign. The Malayan campaign. Question 60. Which agreement in 1941 set out light goals for the post-war world signed by Roosevelt and Churchill? Which agreement in 1941 set out light goals for the post-war world signed by Roosevelt and Churchill? And it was the Atlantic Charter. The Atlantic Charter. Question 61. Who was the commander of the German Luftwaffe during World War II? Who was the commander of the German Luftwaffe during World War II? And it was Hermann Göring. Hermann Göring. Question 62. Which battle in 1942 marked the first significant defeat of Japanese land forces by American troops? Which battle in 1942 marked the first significant defeat of Japanese land forces by American troops? And it was the Battle of Guadalcanal. Guadalcanal, yeah. I think there's a movie about that. The Battle of Guadalcanal. Question 63. What was the German Afrika Corps? What was the German Afrika Corps? It was a German expeditionary force in Africa during the North African Campaign. It was German expeditionary force in Africa during the North African Campaign. Question 64. Which British codebreaker is credited with significant contribution to breaking the Enigma code? Which British codebreaker is credited with significant contributions to breaking the Enigma code? And it was Alan Turing. Alan Turing, played really well by Benedict Cumberbatch, I know, Cumberbatch, in the movie. Really good movie. Next one. Question 65. What was the main battle tank used by the Soviet Union during World War II? It was T-34. T-34. I did not read that once more, but you knew that one. We can skip this one. I thought about T-34 a lot. Question 66. Which city was the target of the first V-2 rocket attack in 1944? Which city was the target of the first V-2 rocket attack in 1944? And it was, of course, city of London. London. Yeah, Germans really like to fire things on London. Question 64. What was the nickname given to the American B-29 bomber that dropped the atomic bomb on Hiroshima? What was the nickname given to the American B-29 bomber that dropped the atomic bomb on Hiroshima? And it was Enola Gay. Enola Gay. Question 68. Which operation was the German plan to kidnap or assassinate Allied leaders during the Tehran Conference? Which operation was the German plan to kidnap or assassinate Allied leaders during the Tehran Conference? And it was Operation Long Jump. Operation Long Jump. Question 69. Nice. What was the German military intelligence organization during World War II? What was the German military intelligence organization during World War II? And it was the Abwehr. Or die Abwehr. Das Abwehr. Die Abwehr, yeah. That one is kind of known to that, like this. I did this pub quiz. This is like really the guide to pub quiz. This, if you are going on pub quizzes, those questions are, if you know this, you are like really good. If you learn all these 100 questions, you can just you will win always in pub quiz, almost. Question 70. Which Japanese admiral planned the attack on Pearl Harbor? Which Japanese admiral planned the attack on Pearl Harbor? And it was Admiral Isokoro Yamamoto. Admiral Isokoro Yamamoto. Of course, Yamamoto. Question 71. What was the name of the British deception plan to mislead the Germans about the location of the D-Day landings? What was the name of the British deception plan to mislead the Germans about the location of the D-Day landings? And it was Operation Bodyguard. Operation Bodyguard. Question number 72. Which Axis power changed sides in 1944 after a coup d'etat joining the Allies? Which Axis power changed sides in 1945 after a coup d'etat joining the Allies? And it was Romania. Who was the Italian dictator and leader of National Fascist Party during World War II? Who was the Italian dictator and leader of the National Fascist Party during World War II? And it was, of course, Benito Mussolini. Benito Mussolini. Next one. That's question 74. What was the primary light machine gun used by the British Army during World War II? What was the primary light machine gun used by the British British Army during World War II, and it was the Bren gun. The Bren gun. Yes. Question 75. Which battle in 1944 resulted in the liberation of Paris from German occupation? Which battle in 1944 resulted in the liberation of Paris from German occupation? And it was literally the liberation of Paris. Yeah, it's called liberation of Paris. Question 76. What was the name of the Soviet Union's counter-offensive operation launched after the Battle of Stalingrad? What was the name of the Soviet Union's counter-offensive operation launched after the Battle of Stalingrad? And it was Operation Uranus. It was Operation Uranus. Operation Uranus. And Germans' anus was destroyed. Question 77. Which conference in 1945 resulted in the Allies demanding Japan's unconditional surrender? Which conference in 1945 resulted in the Allies demanding Japan's unconditional surrender? And it was the Potsdam Conference. That's the Potsdam Conference. And Japanese actually had some conditions like Hirohito staying in the power, but Americans said, our allies said, okay, you know what, fine. Question 78. What was the name of the German battleship sunk by the British in 1941 after a relentless pursuit? What was the name of the German battleship sunk by the British in 1941 after a relentless pursuit? And it was the Bismarck. The Bismarck. Question 79. Which battle in 1942 was a critical victory for the British in North Africa, halting the German advance towards the Suez Canal? So, which battle in 1942 was a critical victory for the British in North Africa, halting the German advance towards the Suez Canal? And it was the Second Battle of El Alamein. Yeah. It was the Second Battle of El Alamein. Question 80. What was the name of the policy that aimed to rebuild and reshape Japan after World War II under American supervision? What was the name of the policy that aimed to rebuild and reshape Japan after World War II under American supervision? And it was the Allied occupation of Japan. The Allied occupation of Japan. Question 81. Who were the primary members of the Axis powers during World War II? 3. Who were the primary members of the Axis powers during World War II? And it was, of course, Germany, Italy, Japan. Germany, Italy, Japan. Question 82. What was the first operational jet-powered fighter aircraft developed by Germany? Yeah, first jet-powered fighter. What was the first operational jet-powered fighter aircraft developed by Germany? And it was the Messerschmitt ME-262. The Messerschmitt ME-262. Question number 83. Which battle in 1945 was one of the bloodiest in the Pacific, resulting in a critical airbase for the US? Which battle in 1945 was one of the bloodiest in the Pacific, resulting in critical airbase for the US, and it was Battle of Iwo Jima. The Battle of Iwo Jima, rarely known. Americans talk about it a lot. Question 84. What was the name of the German defensive line in Italy, heavily fortified and difficult for the Allies to breach? What was the name of the German defensive line in Italy, heavily fortified and difficult for the Allies to breach? And it was the Gustav Line. The Gustav Line. Which Allied operation aimed to seize bridges in the Netherlands but ended in failure in 1944? Which Allied operation aimed to seize bridges in the Netherlands but ended in failure? Failure. I have problems with words. In 1944. And it was Operation Market Garden. Operation Market Garden. Question 86. Who was the chief of the German General Staff during the invasion of Poland? That's a hard question. Who was the chief of the German General Staff during the invasion of Poland? And it was General Franz Halder. General Franz Halder. Question 87. Which amphibious assault in 1945 was the largest of the Pacific War? Which amphibious assault in 1945 was the largest of the Pacific War? And it was the Battle of Okinawa. The Battle of Okinawa. Question 88. What was the standard issue rifle for British soldiers during World War II? What was the standard issue rifle for British soldiers during World War II? And it was the Lee Enfield number 4 Mark I. The Lee Enfield number 4 Mark I. 89. Which Soviet sniper was credited with 225 confirmed kills during the Battle of Stalingrad? Which Soviet sniper was credited with 225 confirmed kills during the Battle of Stalingrad? And it was Vasily Zaitsev. It was Vasily Zaitsev. Question 90. What was the main purpose of the Wannsee Conference held in January 1942? What was the main purpose of the Wannsee Conference held in January 1942? And it was the plan to implementation of the final solution, the genocide of Jews. The final solution, basically. Reinhard Heydrich, and then Czechs took him out. Again, I think I didn't put a question about that there. If you like this video a lot, I will do quiz about World War II in Czechia, because that, of course, I know the most. This one is more about Pacific, because I wanted to learn something new myself, you know. But assassination of Reinhard Heydrich and stuff like that, if you are interested, we can go deeper into the lore. Question number 91. Which famous photograph shows US Marines raising the flag on Mount Suribachi? Is it Suribachi? Yeah. Which famous photograph shows US Marines raising the flag on Mount Suribachi? And it was the raising of the flag on Iwo Jima. Raising of the flag on Iwo Jima. What was the code name for the Allied invasion of Sicily in July 1943? What was the code name for the Allied invasion of Sicily in 1943? And it was the Operation Husky. Yeah, Operation Husky. 93. Question 93. Do I have battery? Yes. Which German scientist led the development of the V2 rocket? Yeah. Which German scientist led the development of the V2 rocket? It was Werner von Braun. Werner von Braun, and he fled to I'm not sure if I have the question about, no I don't, about the Operation Paperclip. Like basically every scientist US said like, okay guys, we will not try you, and you go to US, and they developed basically the space program. They helped a lot. Question 94. What was the name of the Soviet women's aviation regiment known as the Night Witches? What was the name of the Soviet women's aviation regiment known as the Night Witches? And it was the 588th Night Bomber Regiment. It was the 588th Night Bomber Regiment. Question number 95. Who was the leader of the German SS and one of the main architects of the Holocaust? Who was the leader of the German SS and one of the main architects of the Holocaust? And it was Heinrich Himmler. Heinrich Himmler. Question number 96. Which German pocket battleship was scaffolded after the Battle of the River Plate in 1939? This was hard. Which German pocket battleship was scaffolded after the Battle of the River Plate in 1939? It was Admiral Graf Spee. This one is hard. Admiral Graf Spee. Number 27. Which German city was divided into 4 sectors controlled by the Allies after World War II? Which German city was divided into 4 sectors controlled by the Allies after World War II? And it was of course Berlin. Question 98. Who was the US general who famously said, "I shall return" after evacuating the Philippines? Who was the US general who famously said, "I shall return" after evacuating the Philippines? And it was General Douglas MacArthur. It was General Douglas MacArthur. Question number 99. Which American ship's sinking by a German submarine in 1941 led to the US providing naval escorts for convoys? Which American ship's sinking by a German submarine in 1941 led to the US providing naval escorts for convoys? And it was USS Reuben James. It was USS Reuben James. And the last question. How long is the video? 1.5 hours. I did that in one go. That's incredible. Question 100. What was the name of the British operation that used double agents to deceive the Germans about the D-Day invasion location? What's the name of British operation that used double agents to deceive the Germans about the D-Day invasion location? And it was Operation Fortitude. I hope that went. US was Bodyguard. This one is Fortitude. Anyway, I hope you liked the video. Let me know in the comments what you think. Now I shall I have to return the eyes for you because you listened very closely. One eye, second eye, eyes are back. And now let's do the outro. I will do some little shuffling. So let me know in the comments what you would like to see next, and if you like it or not or something. And I will see you next time. So oyasumi nasai. Na dobranic. Laila tov. Labanakt. Spokojnej noci. Čuknunon. Iva jota. Dobranoc. Gute Nacht. Banan. Makandan gapi. Subratri. Buonanotte. Buonanotte. Ratre sabat. Jo ei sakat. Godnatt. Noapte puna. Selamat malam. Good night. Boa noite. Buone nuit. Buenas noches. Kalinichta. Het öd. Annyeonghi museo. Annyeonghi museo. Ike celera. Gute Nacht. Ar labunakti. Tushbi ala khair. And the last one, that's coincidence. Dobrou noc. Dobrou noc. And I will see you in the next time. In the next video.